Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the regular council meeting on June 20th, 2023. I have no amendments to the agenda, so could I have a motion to adopt the agenda as a presented?
I will motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Hedger.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councillor Paquette. Could we move to adopt the minutes from the committee of the whole meeting of June 6th, 2023?
I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes for June 6, 2023.
Thank you, Councillor Burgess.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Henshaw. Any questions or comments?
Not for me, thank you.
Okay.
Good, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Paquette. Councillor Burgess,
No, nothing.
all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Motion to pay the open payables in the amount of $99,056.22.
I'll make a motion to pay the open payables.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Henshaw. Thank you, Councillor Burgess. Any questions or comments?
Not for me.
For Henshaw?
Just the only comment I have is that seniors, one going to the seniors, that's, is that the not grant?
Any grant?
Yeah.
Grant?
No, it was some United Way funding that we administered.
Oh, okay. That's the only
How
comment.
does that work?
So there was a funding program they applied for, but needed
GST registration.
yeah, they needed a GST registration number, so we've done it for them in the past where they need the cards.
Oh, yeah.
They do the reporting on funding. But it funnels through our.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's neat. It's nice that we do
We
that.
did that for the food bank, I believe, as well. In the past.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. All right, next up, number 4 on the agenda, we have Mr. Jordan Stackhouse. Welcome again. Sir, how are you?
Hey guys, I'm doing good, thanks. Hope everyone had a nice weekend, is going to enjoy the day off tomorrow. Except for Mayor Irvin and those of you that have retail jobs. Well, that's pretty much all of you, actually. Never mind, you guys will be working tomorrow.
Private industry.
Yeah. Some of us will really be enjoying the day off tomorrow, though, not you guys.
Thank you, yes. We'll be open for your shopping needs.
Good. I'm here today to talk, just to continue the discussion on the Housing Accelerator Fund. We had a brief introduction to it 2 weeks ago when we talked a little bit about the fund and Watson Lake's kind of current situation as it relates to housing. And at this meeting today, we're really hoping to get, or I'm really hoping to get some initial direction from council on where we should be focusing the application. So I believe I sent out a package to you guys as well that's talked about a lot of different things. I'm sure you've read it all thoroughly. But really, like there are some ideas floating around, and I have a very small presentation I can just flash up here to continue this conversation. So I will just go back a second, I guess. Like, in order to put forward an application, the town of Watson Lakes needs a minimum of 5 housing-related initiatives that support the goals of the Housing Accelerator Fund. Really, you can think about the Housing Accelerator Fund. The goal is to put on more housing than would have otherwise naturally occurred in your community. So any actions and activities, projects that will amount to an increase in the housing supply in Watson Lake is, I would say, like with an asterisk, is basically eligible to be considered under this program. I've been pretty involved in kind of just keeping an eye out on what's happening. I think it's fair to say, like, it'll be pretty competitive. I was just reading an article from the city of Regina, who has like their whole planning department working on one of these, and I'm like, can we get money too with like little old me and like Watson Lake? Maybe. I hope so. But I think based on the conversations I've had, like there is the north is a priority, and the smaller communities in the north are also a priority. And so I feel like it is worth doing. It's not expensive, and you know, if we can get a significant amount of money out of this program, that will be good. So part two of this discussion is really like, what are those ideas, or where are those kind of areas, those 5 areas that you want me to focus for an application? And I'll just say, like, this initial direction, I would go away and do some work and kind of bring a draft application back to council for discussion. So there's still opportunity to input into this, I guess, and change things around. But I'll just go through what I've heard so far. So some of the ideas I've heard so far is a grant program for new housing. This is pretty much one I've heard from kind of every councillor at least nod their heads when it's been brought up. And that's providing assistance with down payments and that type of thing to construct new housing in the community. After we talked about this briefly, there was lots of questions about, okay, well, how would this policy work, and like this, that, and the other. And I'll get to that in a couple slides here. But certainly I would just let council know that anything like this would have to come along with some pretty comprehensive policy development to make sure the program's fair and equitable for people, meaning that, you know, equal access and opportunity to access these funds. That's what we'd be looking for. And then I'll go through all these and make it talk about them. Okay. Idea 2 is around infrastructure. So this fund can help pay for any infrastructure that would unlock more land. So I know you guys are already eyeing some areas in Francis and other areas. If there's a project, and I don't want to kind of put a fine point on it right now, but Cam has let me know about some projects. But yeah, like if there is an infrastructure project there that you felt like, hey, if we got this lift station, we'd be able to, you know, unlock like 30-40 more lots up in this area that maybe don't have services. That's something we could like definitely look at within the context of this application. And I think for Watson Lake and probably every community, like I know there's a gap in infrastructure funding with whatever the last one was, Build Canada or whatever. And the feds haven't announced a new infrastructure program yet. And so maybe this is a way you guys get at some of those projects that are on your list that there currently isn't any funding for. Organizational capacity building. Sorry, I thought I took building out of here, but just capacity. You guys can think about that in terms of staff. So if we make this application to do this, we're also saying we need staff to own this program, implement it, and also pick up some more slack within the organization around economic development and tourism. That's kind of what we'd be hoping for in terms of putting forward an idea for staff wages to implement the Housing Accelerator Fund plan, basically. Zoning bylaw and housing policies update. Sorry.
Sorry.
That's all good. Keep going, Jordan.
Okay. This just gets at like there will need to be like corresponding policy and bylaw work that happens with some, like, for sure, like the program for new housing. If you guys wanted to do a grant program for that, looking at the organization and what might somebody who is going to own the housing file, what might they also be able to do, and kind of creating some like job description around that. And then like just generally reviewing, and I know you guys just went through this and you're like, oh my God, like zoning bylaw again, but basically it's like we could review this for flexibility, nimbleness, removing barriers to development within the community. It wouldn't be a big piece of this project, but it's something I've just noticed that a lot of people are including. And it makes me think that's just something that they want to see. And it's not an expensive or time consuming process, but we would kind of look at the zoning bylaw and the view to being kind of pro-development. And are there barriers within the zoning bylaw? I don't know the answer to that, but there may be. Oh, shoot. Sorry. I have my other slide is the same, which means I screwed up on this presentation. Sorry, guys. Hold on a second. I was doing some last minute changes. Okay, yeah, sorry, the last one, which it says the same on this one, but it's supporting mixed use development. So more commercial residential development. That's what we mean by mixed use. So and that's just like more around like densifying and creating a more vibrant community in Watson Lake. So and I guess like the school of thought these days is mixed use development is something that it really works in a lot of places, and something that correct me if I'm wrong, that we don't see a lot of in Watson Lake at this point. And so that was just another idea I had, but these are all my ideas at this point. Some of these I've heard from you, some of them I haven't. I think some of them make sense. I think the organization stuff, the infrastructure, and the grant program make a lot of sense. These other two, I'm just like, okay, well, because it needs to be a minimum of 5 initiatives. It can't be 3, it can't be 2, it needs to be 5. I'm like, what other things could we do that would support this, but aren't maybe necessarily a focus of council, but things that would be good to do regardless, and would honestly just make for like a better application. Yeah, and that's kind of what I have to say about where we're at right now. And I guess I'm just looking for your guys' ideas. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Jordan. We'll go around the room and see what kind of feedback we have, if that's all right with everybody. Okay, Councillor Anshaw.
So a lot of my stuff is like pretty in line with what you have there. I noticed in the application guidelines or whatever, a piece about drinking water, wastewater infrastructure. So like, yeah, like lift stations and things like that. I think that's a really good idea. Sorry, these notes are messy. I'm curious, sorry.
Take your time. It's okay.
Sorry, Jordan.
I'm serious.
So, and I was in agreement with the grant thing somewhat. Obviously, need some more information on that, but I think that I just want to make sure that that was like, I know you said that there's a lot of like background stuff that would need to go along with that, and it's just an idea at this point. But just to make sure that I think that everybody should have access to that, not necessarily like one
Demographic
or profession or whatever. I think that that should be for all potential new development. If that's the way that we're going, like if that's the way we're going to go, it should be accessible for everybody. We talked, and we've never talked about this in this room, so I don't know if we haven't talked about it with the community or anything, but I think it's worth a conversation at some point. We talked about the potential for maybe a development corporation at some point, and maybe getting into some development on our own. I don't know if like I said, we haven't really talked about that, so that's just something that I was thinking about though, because I don't hate the idea, but I think
There's a lot of work to be done there.
a lot of work there. We talked also about a market analysis or assessment report for the community, and I don't know if that can come from this money or not. Or if we have other.
Can you say that again, Lauren? Sorry.
There's
Can you say that again?
We talked about a market analysis or assessment, like report, or is that what we were calling
Yeah,
it?
it's like we're thinking of a document that would give Watson like a market assessment to help with appraisal, help with our market, help with the housing market in general. And I know that after talking with a few people, that it can't be deemed an appraisal worthy package, but appraisers could use it as information. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, it's super important. Yeah.
And then there's obviously, just a lot of issues with the banks, I think. And I don't know if that feeds into this at all, or if there's anything that can be done within this to resolve some of those issues. I know the banks are kind of their own thing, but I think that's a huge part of why people can't, get a mortgage or whatever. It's really hard to build a house, even for people with lots of money. So I think, sorry, what else do I have here? Oh, I just have a note here. How do we get tradespeople to move here? I think that's an issue too, because we obviously don't have that. And I don't think know if that's part of this or not. Encouraging garden suites or accessory suites. but I don't know if that's part of this
Is
or.
that like cottage house sort of thing?
Yeah, so for
Yeah,
people who
that's
have
what I was
available
comparing
land, like
with.
encouraging that type of development as well. Yeah, I think they call them.
Because that's in our bylaw now that you're allowed to do
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah. So, anyway, probably,
Okay.
that's, if we can go to.
Yeah, we'll go, move on. So maybe Councillor Paquette, do you have something to add to those?
One of the things that I was thinking about is, I don't know, I like watching all these sort of like townhome kind of things. But you know, beautifying the town, so like making it look like when you drive in, so that, you know, if there's derelict properties and people are just not, you know, maybe having a fence where people aren't looking at that and making it look nice, like, I don't know, they're just ways that some of these buildings that we have that they're actually look nice when you drive through town. And our ground right now looks really nice, but I just feel that would be nice to make people feel like, oh, Watson Lake, this is a great place, let's have a look. Cause you know, you guys talk about having people feel comfortable to stay here.
So it could be kind of like a frontage program, like a
Yeah.
business frontage.
Yeah, if
Right.
you wanna call it. And definitely a carriage house, that's something that I've certainly looked at for our property, so that's something that I agree with Lauren in that. So yeah, I mean, there's, you know, and banks like, in that, I brought that up when we had our AYC, you know, people can't get mortgages here, so how are we supposed to develop our Francis Ave?
That's probably one of the biggest barriers.
Able to build on anything, and so having, I don't know if there's funds in there to be able to look at like how we can attract a bank or encourage some kind of lender to come in and to lend to people money, right? Because that's a huge barrier. But yeah, I mean, you're right, like we have to look at our bylaw in order to be able to make sure that we can do that and create the policies so that there is equality, which you've already mentioned. So those are things that I definitely feel are important.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Councillor
Thanks.
Paquette. Councillor Burtis?
Yeah, I like everything that's there. I liked everything Lauren took a couple of mine. So like, no, that's right. Like the cottage house thing I thought about is how to encourage people to build on their existing property. Like, I really like that idea. And I really like the grant program idea, as well as the like assessment, housing market assessment. I think that like somehow, I don't know what that looks like or what we have to do to get that, but I think that will help with people being able to get like building mortgages, like builder's mortgage, and stuff like that. Like it should be able to help incentivize that. But no, I think everything else is pretty good. That's all I got.
And I think Thomas echoes what you were saying before, because he talked about having like a corporation concept within the.
Well, I think
quite a
he's the
bit.
one who brought up that idea, and I mean, you know, the more I think about it, the less crazy I find it.
And who did that? Was that CarMax?
I mean, there's probably a lot of places that are
So-
doing something like that, and it's,
I think CarMax did their own economic development with 2 homes. And they built and sold their
Yeah.
homes. at
Yeah.
whatever
Cost, right?
because a huge
So-
thing is like
I
building.
just got one more thing.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor.
And then just to ask is because we were looking at it that it was, I think it was like 16 development permits had to be issued prior
That's fine.
to getting the funds. Like the
Yeah.
17th one would get the funds, like, and we maybe do 1 a year of actual building a house. So like, what's the threshold gonna look like?
Yeah. Thanks,
Well,
Councillor Burtis. Yeah,
yeah.
I looked into that as well, and that was what the data that was available is not the data that they'll use. They do have more granular data, and I just haven't gotten to seeing what that is. But I did ask the question to our contact at CMHC, and she said no, it will be on like housing starts. And I think what the problem was there was that included everything, like Cam pointed out. So I don't have the real number for you right now, or the
Okay.
number that we were trying to get to, but it's not 16.
Yeah, no, just because, yeah, like how Cam was alluding to was like, that's for like a porch being added to your house, you get a development permit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
totally. It'll probably be like, the number's probably gonna be like 2 or like 1 or 2 or 3 or something like that is what we're gonna be trying to hit.
Okay,
Like,
So that's-
sorry, yeah.
So I saw, when I was reading today, I thought I saw like a percentage increase is what a goal was, setting goals and targets to make sure that we're trying to achieve those. right?
Yeah, so they have some national data that they use as well, and we need to demonstrate how we're going to exceed their national average of housing starts as well. You guys don't have to worry about that. It's just all
Okay.
in like how to write the application. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just ramble mine real quick here. Cause it's a very similar to Lawrence, but I numbered them just for my own sake.
Yeah.
But the first one is capacity, like you were saying, so that could be an individual or a group along the lines of economic development, consultation, but also with the consideration of having someone trained to be an appraiser within our community, a local. Put that into one position. You know, you could have that position for 2-3 years established to help accelerate capacity, right? So that was the first one. Number 2 was the grant. Number 3 was, like you mentioned, work around our zoning. I really don't know about the mixed use. I know that lots of communities are trying to push that, but we're trying to get away from that because of our highway and trying to, you know, establish what specific zonings we had within different regions, because it was getting a little bit hairy and hard to, you know, the spot zoning, we were really trying to get away from that.
100%. Yeah. Okay.
And then I also had the assessment, so some consultation and a review of what our market is, so it's available, easy, and available for anybody who wants it. And I know that this is a CMHC program, if I'm not mistaken. So this should fall, you know, when I was glancing at all the paperwork today, territories was separate from everything else in Canada. So we should have an advantage. And if we're, you know, really seeking that CMHC input and seeking, you know, the process of getting people to buy and build, I think is the key, right? And making sure that we can support anybody that wants to do that. And that's the difficulty we're having. So if you had that capacity, you had that one person or 2 people or a group that could, you know, really push to make that easier, one person, right? I think that would be huge for Watson Lake.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I what I hear some different ideas. I think infrastructure was maybe medium, but we'll see. Like it's really if something makes sense there. The grant program, I think you guys definitely want to explore that. The development corporation / market analysis / financing analysis, I think we could look at that, including that, as opposed to like something that focuses on mixed use development, just like based on what you said, Mayor Urban, you're maybe getting away from that or trying to sort out your zoning in general and maybe aren't ready to kind of push one thing or another. Yeah. So, and the fact that people can't get mortgages is obviously a huge barrier, right? That's a massive barrier. Mm-hmm. So I think, you know, if we look at priorities, that should be one of the top priorities right there, I think. And I think we can roll in, we could probably do something that looked like a market assessment, like a financing analysis, and a plan, because I think it ultimately has to lead to action, you know, to improve those things. I think we can look at including that as opposed to something that focuses on mixed use. Something else that I heard a lot about was the retrofit, not retrofits necessarily, sorry, but carriage houses, infill, that type of thing, secondary suites. And I think we would look at that in definitely that would be like a focus of the zoning bylaw for sure. Like if we could have a look at that, like we would work with you guys to say like, okay, like what are the housing types? It should be all of them, but like, okay, what do we need to like change or fix or like whatever to remove those barriers to people doing that or encourage them or incentivize them, you know, might be another thing. So yeah, so to summarize, I guess we could say like the grant program stays, infrastructure possibly, organizational capacity, I think that stays, the zoning bylaw review and policy review probably stays because there's a lot that fits under that. And then the other piece would just be like a kind of a financing market assessment type review and plan, because just recognizing that financing barrier in the community. like I did mention to Mayor Irvin, you guys do have a housing needs assessment from 2020, but it's not so much like a market assessment as it is like these are the different types of housing and like 23% need repairs. It's just like a desktop thing. I was just, it was very much about like kind of like affordable, accessible housing, whereas this is kind of something different than that,
I think that was done by an outside organization, through the lens of like them trying to establish a, men's shelter or something at that time, I believe.
Yeah, it has a specific goal,
Yeah.
I think, the way it's written.
I just had one last thing I just want to add before, was the lot development, because I thought that you had mentioned last time that maybe I think, maybe I'm mistaken, but I thought you said something about maybe like we could use some of the funds from this type of program to maybe develop land on our own, like, and I don't know how realistic that is, but did you say that last time, or am I crazy?
Yeah. Yeah, you
Because
could. And
Like,
I
if we-
also think, sorry, I'll
Sure.
just add to that. I also just think there's an opportunity with YG under the existing land development protocols that you guys have to also do that. Sorry, I just wanted to add to that.
Oh, okay.
Well, can I add to that? Like the infrastructure dollars would be a prime example, right? If we're wanting to develop our own lots for sale and we were funded 100%, then we could sell those country residential lots for very reasonable. Yeah, it's very prorated developed lots, right?
Yeah, and we could do that under an affordable housing initiative. Like that's also a big focus of the plan, or sorry, the Housing Accelerator Fund as well. So yeah, that would fit too.
Cool.
Well, tell me this, if it's through CMHC, does CMHC not fund, like, do they not give people money to build houses? Do they not have some kind of funds in that capacity?
I don't really know, to be totally honest with you. I think they do, but I'm not aware of their
I think
programs.
they do too, but I'm not sure that they do it just for anybody, because I know in Lower Post, there's been houses that have been like mortgaged through CMHC kind of concept. I'm not sure if they do it for Indigenous only, maybe, I'm not sure.
I will add another point to this story, Jordan. I don't want to cut you off, but
No, it's okay.
you know, I've seen on a few applications as well, just the examples of initiatives. One of them was developing a First Nation homeownership. Promote home ownership among Indigenous communities members by providing assistance. So, you know, if we had a partnership program, I guess it's just not going to fall in the time frame. Never mind.
Yeah.
It would just be a strong application point, but it's without any partnership, it's going to be impossible to do. So totally off topic.
But maybe next year.
Yeah, I arrived at that conclusion as well, Mayor Irvin. Like, I think it would be stronger and it makes sense to do something together. But I just think the relationship isn't there enough to do something like this. So, unfortunately, I think it's probably just a better chance of success to do it on your own at this point.
Yeah. Could we write the initiative, just have someone sign it and say that it's a partnership?
I'd have to look into see what they want. I think they would need a band council resolution.
You can get that signature.
I can get a signature for us, no problem.
They probably need a council resolution. Yeah, and so when we ultimately approve this as well, we will need a council resolution, but that can come later. I think we'll probably do that after your recess. Like my goal here, I think July 4th, so the next 2 weeks. I think July 4th is your last council meeting, so I want to have something basically ready for you guys to look at there. So that gives me 2 weeks to kind of put together the bulk of the application, and we should have more details then. And sorry, you know, it's a bit of a blue sky conversation right now, but really like this direction needs to come from you guys. So, and I think we've narrowed it down. Maybe there's just, and sorry, it could be more than 5. Sorry, I don't want to say it needs to be a minimum of 5, but it could be more too, right? So if we feel like we want to land on 7 initiatives, I think that just makes for a stronger application, to be totally honest with you. So
Do you think it would be stronger with more initiatives? Why would it be too broad?
Or like 5 really strong ones.
Yeah, like 5 really very direct and very clear, or 7 general.
I think like I'm just trying to put myself in the shoes of the federal government, and when they're looking at this application, I think the number of initiatives will count for something.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Okay, guys. Well, thank you for, unless you guys have any other comments, like that gives me good direction to kind of try to put something together, I think, to bring back to council for July 4th. I might be in contact with Cam or Mayor Irvin in the meantime, just for any clarification, but I think I have enough to go on and provide you guys something a bit more substantive.
Okay, that sounds amazing. Thank you for
Thank
taking
you.
this on. We're really hopeful. Think that this can be a huge thing for Watson Lake, and I know that you can write an excellent proposal and make it happen, Jordan. Show us the money.
Oh man. Well, I would say like, thank you, Mayor Irvin. And I would say like, if we are able to get some money, I would have a lot of pride in that, because we're up against big cities and that kind of thing, with a lot of resources and a lot of expertise and capacity. And if little Watson Lake's able to get a successful application, that would make me feel really, really good. Yeah. So my heart's in it, guys, 100%.
And once you do it, it's you.
Yeah, we have.
Oh my.
We have full faith in you, and if you are not successful, and we're gonna have to find another consultant.
So I'm only charging you guys like $1,500 to do the application, because I'm like, I don't know, I'll try. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Jordan.
See you guys later. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, bye.
Sorry, Shannon. Okay. Thank you for that. Number 5, we'll move right along to the CAO report. Deputy CAO Bergeron, please.
Thank you. So I just have a short report for you guys tonight. Just a few updates on some projects and some of the facilities around town. So with recreation, the Parks and Rec staff have been doing cleanup at various parks around town. The pool has been cleaned and is ready to go. We have submitted our application for the permit to operate to YG, which is currently being reviewed. The new recreation programmer has planning well underway for Canada Day, which will be held at Wylake Park. Advertisements will be going out very soon. And planning has also begun for Discovery Days. And we are advertising a children's art camp. And plans are currently underway to hold a youth community camp as well. And rec center roof repairs are going to be completed over the next couple of weeks. That's just the final to that project. And then we're gonna start on the flooring upgrades with starting in the bowling alley, which is starting on July 10th. At the Northern Light Center, the hours have been extended from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., 7 days per week, as we are fully staffed in the summer. Usage has been increasing, and as we get more into the summer months, and they're averaging approximately 50 customers per day.
Okay.
But they also have a couple of larger tour groups scheduled. So it's good, it's getting busy.
It's great.
For municipal services, there were several digs completed at various locations throughout town and repairs completed to correct water leaks, etc. I think there's only one more scheduled. They're done, caught up for now. The tender for phase 1 of the infrastructure project closed on June 1st, and there were 2 compliant bids, both within the consultant cost estimate and budget. And YG is currently reviewing the bids and has up to 60 days to award. So we'll have more of an update on that as they review.
Sorry.
We'll just get there. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Tender submission dates for the Francis Avenue Municipal Services Extension and Francis Avenue Lift Station have both been extended due to some questions and revisions on the original tender. So the new date for municipal services extension is June 29th, and the lift station construction is due July 6th. And then lastly, just the landscaping project. for the admin building. The warranty deadline is end of August, so YG will be completing an inspection in the next couple of months to ensure there's no deficiency. Okay, and one more thing I just wanted to add is we received an invitation, open to everyone for the Indigenous Day celebration in Lower Post, which are happening tomorrow. And it starts at 10 a.m. So they're like all to attend.
Does it say anything about what those festivities are?
There is a post on Facebook. for it.
Is there?
Yeah, there is.
Okay,
I saw it.
I guess.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
Okay.
I can't really recall, but there's a lot.
Yeah, it says they have an opening prayer by a local elder, followed by cast of drummers and a light breakfast. Lunch, snacks, and beverages will be provided. Many events are scheduled for the day for all age groups, such as hand games, tea boiling, bannock making, grease bowl, salmon jarring, elder stories, and possibly horseback. Yeah, should do it.
Thank you.
thank you, CAO Bergeron. Okay, can we save our questions for Council Open Forum,
Probably.
or do you have a quick question?
I'm just wondering, can we, 60 days?
Yeah.
We're gonna miss the whole season. Can we apply any pressure there?
I mean, that we can reach out to.
Express our
ministers
displeasure.
and the Premier and make sure that we're, everything we've needed to do and needs to be done is there, and we're waiting for this government to approve it. They've set their budget, it's met the budget, let's make it happen. And, we can reach out to our MLA, so she can put some pressure on them to make sure that that happens. Also reach out to the Minister of, I guess it would be Community Services, Minister Mostyn, for the approval of this tender. I'm not sure if it's be him or if it's, who's on infrastructure?
Good question.
I'll reach out to a few people. And
I
in
just-
fact, I actually,
Like sometimes I think people need a little,
I did actually put in a call to Premier Pally today to hopefully get some response on the situation and maybe just have a quick chat about it. So I haven't heard back.
we already missed it last year,
Yep,
as you're aware.
yep. So 60 days seems completely unreasonable in
Yeah.
a short construction season.
Mhm.
I said the exact same thing.
Thank you, that was all.
Okay. Any other questions? Can we wait for Council Open Forum? Okay. Great. All right, number 6 on our agenda is the 125 fund. So we do have a administrative report, which I will go through right now. And the purpose, provide council with a recommendation and application to the Yukon 125 fund for a special project. The financing implications are each municipality and First Nation government is eligible to receive up to $7,500 from the Yukon Historical and Museum Society. A little background, the Yukon 125 fund was created to commemorate the 125th anniversary of the signing of the Yukon Act. The fund is for community-driven initiatives that recognize and celebrate the Yukon's unique history, culture, and heritage. Applications must be submitted by June 30th, and projects must be completed by October 31st, 2023. Our clerk, Tiffany, spoke with a member of the Yukon Historical and Museum Society and confirmed that we are only eligible for up to $7,500 and that the initiatives can be combined if we are able to connect them. For example, the unveiling of artwork could be done during Discovery Day weekend. Any remaining funds will be available for nonprofits to apply for, but no additional funds will be made available to the town. There are a couple of recommendations that we can discuss. So administration has listed a couple. The signpost for signage. So to replace the archway and make it say Watson Lake signpost forest, sticking with the wood style. The last sign costs roughly $10,000, so some town contribution might be needed. Complete the rock wall at the town office. This would require hiring a local contractor. Discoveries Day celebration, so it could be live music, outdoor dance, concert, community performances, baseball, volleyball tournament, parade, and other activities. Various First Nation Casca workshops, hire LFM members to host community workshops such as drum making, regalia, beading, sewing, harvesting, etc. An art as installation, so mural or artwork created and installed or in a municipal facility. And lastly, signage, so start changing various signs, including Casca language translations. So those are some options and up for discussion, but we do have to give administration some direction on which way we want to go with this one.
My first question is what rock wall are we talking about?
Right in the admin building outside the chambers there.
Oh, okay. Oh,
It was
okay.
part of it.
Oh, okay.
Ask the same
Sorry.
question. I'm
I got outside, I was like
Yeah.
a climbing wall or like, I don't know, okay. I guess my opinion on this is, I kind of lean towards things that will be around for a while as opposed to like an event. I like the idea of the signpost for a sign, but I also, I also think about like 125 years ago, there probably wasn't anything going on here other than the Casca people that were living here. Right, so I kind of think maybe something, showcasing that bit of, heritage, so, that's just kind of how I'm leaning. I'm specifically towards the, town signage, I think,
Okay,
but for art installation or mural, kind of, that's kind of how I'm leaning.
sounds good. Okay, Councillor Paquette.
I liked, because we've talked about it multiple times, about how the signpost for signage doesn't say anything about Watson Lake. And so knowing that we've talked about that a lot, that's my number one.
I just, sorry,
But I do agree with the fact that I would rather have something that's for everybody as opposed to something that's just like an event that then, because I think having the Watson Lake signpost that kind of invests in our town, and it kind of just helps to bring it a little bit more touristy and sort of keeping with, the growth that is part of our strategic plan. So, yeah.
and I 100% agree with you on that. I just kind of feel like maybe we could find monies for that somewhere else, just because given what UCOM 125 is supposed to represent, I just thought that's the only reason why that wasn't my top choice, but I agree with you totally. I just,
Councillor Burtis.
I like the art installation, I think, because we want to do that anyway, I think we'll have the funds to do it. Like if we apply for that, and I think it's a great way to showcase.
can we compound that with, I know we don't have any money in that one account, but the other one for partnerships with it, I think is where if we were gonna go with the mural, we were talking about maybe using that for that project, I think, but could we compound 7,500 with
Art one,
if we needed more, like, kind of thing, yeah.
Yes.
Or on that trail funds, could the signpost forest that be a part of? Because is that sort of not within our trail system? Is that part of that trail system?
I think that one.
In the signpost forest upgrade,
The Canor funding, so
Yeah.
the signpost.
or active
Yeah, I think it might fall into that one.
If we could find that there, then I would like, I
Yeah.
want to see that happen,
See the thing about-
I just don't know if this is the right
Yeah.
thing.
So here's we'll try and put it all together. I think
Thanks.
that the signpost, that's the Watson Lake signpost forest would be huge. But I do agree with Lauren. I think we can find monies within Canor and we'll make that happen. That has to happen. And it's more of a significant thing for us. Whereas this fund, the $7,500 might be better to be an inclusive goal. So include LFN, include everybody and really highlight the money for 125 years of the Yukon and embrace that with the mural and unveil something within the community that's huge and all inclusive.
just a question, like, so, like, can LFN apply to get that 7,500 too?
Yes,
So like, that's the other conversation we could have with them too.
Yeah.
Is because then we'd have
Do we want to go in on?
15,000
To do
to
something.
do a big mural.
Yeah.
Right?
So are we comfortable with leading that direction and setting administration in that?
I'm comfortable with that.
I'm comfortable with that.
Is that okay, Councilor Paquette?
Yeah, that's fine. Like I said, if there was other funding, if that was part of the trails, then,
Yeah.
then we wouldn't need to focus on that. So it's fine.
Okay. I 100% want to see that Watson Lake signpost forest thing happen.
Same with me.
We'll back you up on that. We'll make sure
Yeah.
those things happen. But for this, I think that it'd be great to include the community and have the mural or some form of artwork unveiled within the community.
As long as we,
Please.
Do you guys have an idea of where you would want that? Like, would we want a rec center focused or?
we
We talked
talk about various things. My only issue with the rec center at this point is if there's ever a conversation about replacement, I would like, how do we say like one?
What about like on the outside of the Northern Lights Center, like they did almost at the elementary school.
Exactly.
You see what they did at like,
My only beef with the one at the elementary school is too shiny.
I know, but I mean like
That would,
something.
I agree. That would be a good location.
There's also that big board, which maybe this is a little bit small, but that needs to be redone.
Yep.
Because it's all peely and stuff like that.
I don't know.
So and that's not necessarily the building, but I do look.
Let's go with something exterior.
Yeah.
At the Northern Lights. Center.
And I agree. The Northern
it's-
Light Center is a good spot because it showcases the Northern Light Center, which really needs.
And it's right in the middle of town.
built.
Yeah.
Everybody will see it going on that highway.
Good.
Part of the town beautification. of-
I guess we will need some sort of, we'll need to move or motion for that direction. So could I have a motion, please, to
How do you want-
direct
I'll make a
administration?
motion, but how do we want to word it?
It should just,
I think there's a recommendation there. actually.
yeah, there is. It would
Oh, sorry.
be,
So
There's no word.
I'll make a motion to issue art installation or mural at the Northern Lights Center.
To direct administration to or look
Yes.
into it.
I would like to have also partnership with LFN if that's possible.
Of course, will be 100% a part of whatever gets put on the Northern Lights. So the motion is direct administration to apply for the Canada, or is it the Canada?
170.
From 125.
Yukon 125 fund to cooperatively create a mural on the outside of the Northern Lights Center
Or
with LFN.
somewhere.
Collaboration with
Or
LFN.
an exterior mural in collaboration with LFN. Motion,
Yeah, Nina made it.
Councilor Paquette. Councilor Bruce. All in favor? That was easy.
Oh,
I was like, what? We just talked about that. Yeah,
Okay.
No.
Next on the agenda, number 7, we have another admin report, which I will go through. The subject disposal of mobile homes. The purpose to request mayor and council waive tipping fees for specified property owners to dispose of 5 derelict mobile homes on 4 lots within the municipal boundaries. The financial implications, the project tipping fees for each property would be approximately $1,500 to $2,000 per mobile home. Disposal for a total of approximately $10,000 total. This will support council's priority to improve the quality of housing stock in Watson Lake by creating vacant lots where new housing can be created. Appropriate and safe housing is vital to the community growth, and high quality housing will help to attract and retain individuals and families. These neglected homes present a safety hazard and possibly fire danger. Some discussion and background. The property owners of 4 properties have been served with cleanup orders, but all have expressed they were unable to afford at this time. The cost to demolition and remove mobile homes has been quoted between $12,000 and $15,000 by local contractors, which does not include landfill tipping fees. The bylaw department is requesting that mayor and council waive the tipping fees to help these property owners work towards the common goal of demolishing these derelict homes. Without the help, I'm afraid it will fall on the town to force the cleanup and charge to the tax account. which will create further collection and possible seizure of the properties. Do you want me to read the recommendations? Do you want to have some discussions?
Okay,
Good recommendations.
Okay,
sure, go ahead.
recommendations. Mayor and council agree to forgive landfill tipping fees for the disposal of specified demolished mobile homes, with the caveat that will allow the town to recover cost plus penalty if development conditions are not met within a specific time frame, or the owner puts property up for sale with a specific time frame to increase opportunity for further housing development. Mayor and council agreed to give landfill tipping fees for the disposal of demolished mobile homes.
My issue with this
Mhm.
is that I mean, I don't know what lots you're talking about, not that it matters, it does not matter. I think that everybody else that has had to demolish something has had to cover the tipping fees. I know that it's a tough one, because we want to see these lots cleaned up, we want to see things happening there, but at the same time, how can somebody, like, if they can't afford to demolish the property and clear it and look after it, how are they gonna possibly afford to develop afterwards? I don't think it's fair to everybody else who has had to pay those tipping fees or whatever. I think that, you know, like, our policy is to, like, if they can't clear it, that we clear it and it gets added onto the taxes. And if they can't cover it through that process, then we do go into the tax lien situation, which obviously is not desirable and it's not a pleasant thing to have to do. But I mean, I just feel like it's not really fair. I have a problem with this one. For some reason.
Can I go to,
For sure.
okay, Councilor Cat?
When I read this, I thought about them having to pay, but maybe not do it all in one lump sum, like maybe it was added to some way that they would have to pay a little more on their taxes in order to cover the cost.
A payment.
Payment plan.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Councilor Burtis?
Yeah, no, I think that I agree with Lauren, the more I read it. I do like the fact though, like in this first option, like there's conditions, like a bunch of conditions, but at the same time though, is I just didn't look at it as like, if they can't afford to do that, then yeah, how do we expect them to develop
Because it says
that
right
property?
here, by creating vacant lots for new housing can be created.
That's right.
I'm sorry.
They-
How?
Well, you know, it's a tough decision, you know, and we could always table it and express to administration that we're not very keen, because it kind of sets precedents and
It does.
it's difficult.
Policy.
It's difficult to make exception for specific, you know. It's a tough one, because if they can't afford it, then how are they going to afford the $15,000 for demolition? So, and I do believe in the payment plan, so how about I suggest tabling and ask administration to reach out to the individuals, and we can revisit this if the individuals have the possibility to do a payment plan, or, you know, work with them to see if there's other options, but completely forgive it. Council's not very keen on the idea.
Yeah.
Because yeah, you are setting precedent, but like, then everybody won't be able. to
Exactly.
afford their
Yeah.
Demolition, right?
Promise.
Sounds like it, okay.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah,
right.
everybody, I mean, everybody's.
it's a difficult thing, but if they can work with administration, if they can express their concern, they can show that they're completely unafforded, you know, and we want to avoid that taxing process, then hopefully we can help them.
Yeah, some sort of payment plan or something.
Achieve a goal.
Yeah, That's right.
Okay, good. Sounded good. So we can table this
When
motion for the July 4th meeting.
I'll make a motion to table this admin report to July 4th.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Carried. Okay, number 8. Sponsorship request, North American Indigenous Games athletes. We'll read the letter. Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
How do you pronounce that? The NAIG?
Big.
NAIG?
Mhm.
The NAIG athletes will have, NAIG will have athletes competing in 16 different sports in
Halifax.
yeah, Halifax, starting with Millbrook First Nation. For the girls from Liard First Nation were selected to participate in the games for volleyball. Samantha Greenway, Kara Greenway, Olivia Dixon, Mercedes Handel. We are asking if you could support the young ladies with travel and financial needs to participate in the North American Indigenous Games across Canada. This is a once in a lifetime opportunities. Please help us make this the memorable experience as we will be representing the Yukon. Make sure they put Watson Lake. If you were able to do a sponsorship, please make checks payable to the young ladies named above. That's difficult too.
It is a tough one because, obviously super proud to have these young people, representing us, nationally. But I am curious to know when the next intake for the lottery's funding is. Because they have monies for these types of things.
And didn't we just say that we could
We just made,
proactive,
we just made some amendments
That's right, proactive.
to the application
yeah,
there.
Retroactive.
There's one coming up.
Is there one coming up?
Yeah.
So they could potentially,
Halifax.
When?
July 15th.
just because I think historically we don't typically
July 15th to the 20th.
direct donations to people like that. Like, I mean, like, for those types.
Are they not able to get funding through Sport U Fund as well? Have they researched that, I wonder?
This is for us. This is for us to.
Yeah, no,
So I don't
I'm just
know.
saying, usually we would direct athletes to the lottery's application to, because we usually have more than enough monies there to support.
So suggestions, actions.
I don't know, direct them to the,
I'm just wondering, yeah, so there's one. Yeah,
When's the next intake for that?
Well, we have to have a special one because we missed the May one, changing the policy. So we're thinking about having it either middle of July or beginning of August,
Which would be perfect.
which would fit. And I can offer to help them with the
Yeah.
application, like I always do.
that would be awesome, I think.
So we can respond with a letter saying that we have some intake available for the Community Development Fund, is it?
Lotteries.
Lotteries Fund, okay. And administration is willing to help you apply.
Does that usually cover 100% of whatever they?
No, well, it depends, because it's up to so much of their flight, and then it's 30 cents per kilometer for the travel plus per diem for accommodation and food, so it's a pretty good chunk.
that'll be good then.
No, it's good.
I'm sure lotteries can get behind that.
Thank you.
And our contribution will be an in-kind time with our clerk. It's very valuable time. Everybody in favor with that?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
thank you.
I don't think we need a motion. We're not spending money. Should have a motion to direct information, but we'll let it slide. Okay. Number 9. Should we do a motion?
Yeah, sure.
Sid, do a motion. So could I have a mover for a motion to direct administration to assist the 4 young ladies of the NAG Award to apply for Yukon Lotteries Fund?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councillor Hancher. Thank you, Councillor Paquette. All in favor? Carried. All right, number 9. Do you want me to read it?
Oh, I mean, I read it.
Okay, I'll read it out. I'll read it out loud.
Maybe,
Yeah,
thanks.
The letter is actually addressed to Tiffany Lunt. So she'll be paying whatever we decide to contribute. Hello, Town of Watson Lake. I hope you're doing well. I've been working closely with the Liard First Nation to request funding for their resiliency gathering, which will be held in September. The resiliency gathering will welcome all community members of Watson Lake and neighboring First Nations to heal, connect, and share their thoughts of Indigenous resiliency. It would be greatly appreciated if you could provide a letter to support on behalf of the town of Watson Lake for this funding request. I have provided a draft template for you and attached this to the email. Please let me know if there's anything else we can do. Kind regards, Haley Rollstone. Kermode Consulting. So they're just looking for a letter of support for the.
I have no opposition.
Sorry.
I have no opposition.
No,
Requesting funding, hey?
So can I have some,
I'll make a motion to provide the letter of support.
second.
thank you, Councillor Hanchar. Thank you, Councillor Burris.
Yeah.
All in favor? Carried. All right, number 10.
It's long.
Okay. Dear Town of Watson Lake, I'm reaching out from City West, a telecommunications provider in British Columbia, about our proposed project, Resiliency for the North. The proposed project is a collaboration with our partner, the Teltan Development Corporation. We are seeking a letter of support from the Town of Watson Lake for our project application. The attached consultation letter will provide full project details. This project would bring a fiber optic backbone network from Dees Lake to Watson Lake, providing the foundation for improved connectivity along the stretch of the highway into the Yukon. City West and TNDC are currently building a fiber optic backbone along Highway 37 north of Kitwanga to Dees Lake through a partnership agreement, providing fiber optic connectivity from Vancouver all the way to Dees Lake. Our proposed application would tie into this network. If approved, we would bring fiber optic connectivity directly from Vancouver all the way to the Yukon, which we already have, but it would create a loop. A sample, so they're asking for support to create a new fiber optic line that would actually create a loop, which would strengthen our.
That's right, because then if there's a cut down the highway.
Yeah.
We'll still have internet.
I have no opposition to that. You can prevent the great blackout of twenty.
That's right. No, that's right.
Be horrible.
That was
Yeah.
horrible, so, yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the letter of support to the for the Telpan Development Corporation fiber optic network.
Thank you, Councillor Hanchar. Thank you, Councillor Paquette. All in favor? Carried.
I think we misread this previous one here because they're actually looking for support. I mean, for funding.
No,
For
no.
Funding,
That's,
and it says
No,
down
no.
here.
Councillor Paquette, they're looking for support to get funding.
No.
They want support to do the project. and they need
Oh.
Support from outlying
Fine,
communities.
okay,
and then the letter attached was their like sample for us to just insert our name, basically.
wasn't a sample one here for number 9.
It's in there.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, anyway, sorry,
All
I
right.
misread that.
So we'll move right along. Councillor Open Forum.
I brought beef flesh. so-
I don't have anything official, but Councillor Paquette and myself attended the an out of the ordinary AYC board meeting on Saturday. We don't usually have one in June, but we had one this year just to tie up some loose ends before our summer break, basically. And just one interesting point is that as you all know, AYC hired a consultant to do a analysis of the CMG review and analysis to present to government for negotiations for that. And so we were in receipt of the first draft of that analysis, I guess. And then we went through it at the meeting and then provide some feedback to the consultant. They're going to make a few changes and then they'll be sending out the copy again. And then we'll be able to bring that to council for everyone to look at. So that's coming soon, just something to look forward to.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lots of lots of information there that I like really in-depth stuff about the CMG and like how it's calculated and stuff like that, huge learning thing for me.
Sure,
So,
it's interesting.
yeah, it is. It is really interesting, actually.
Councillor Paquette.
I think the town's looking good. I think the town employees are doing a good job. It just look good, the flowers look good. Yeah, no, it's good.
Thank you, Councillor Paquette. I don't have anything today. Leave it at that. We do have one in-camera thing.
Well, there's no Oh, I was gonna say, what about Janice? There's no gallery today.
No gallery open forum. Sorry, Dennis.
That's fine.
Thank you for coming.
Except good night.
Thanks for coming. See you.
Thank you.
Yeah, or you can pause it.
Wait for their motion.
Oh, yeah, we need a.
I'll make a motion to go in camera.
Thank you. Senator.
That door?
I need a second.
Oh,
Councilor Paquette. All in favor, carried.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to come back in camera
Thank you, Councilor Burgess.
or out of camera.
I'll second.
Sorry.
Councilor Henchar, all in favor?
And I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Councilor Henchar.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councilor Burgess. All in favor? Carried. Thanks.
Bye.